Hello and welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Miles Davis, and my co-host Chris Branch. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where we take out all of the techie talk around generative AI and focus on what the everyday person, marketer, and content creator wants to hear. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so today we're going to talk about a topic that we just started having a conversation and we've said, right, let's switch the mics on and let's talk about that. And that's this. Is this, and when I say this, I'm talking this next year, going to be the golden era of generative AI? Now, let me frame this when I say that. When I talk about golden era, I don't necessarily mean it's the best era because, as the saying goes, from our friend Max, AI is at the worst it will possibly be right now. So I have no doubt in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, it's going to be a lot better on what you can do. But when it comes to whether it be video games, whether it comes to music, when it comes to sport, when it comes to many different things, there's always like a golden era that you personally will define. I actually think that when it comes to Gen AI, I think this year is going to be the golden era where we're still trying to work things out. We get to play with all of these platforms. It's a lot of it is going to be pretty much free or very, very little cost. I do think that in the next few years, you're going to get more people like using it, which then makes it a lot harder to do. The costs will sky high. Who knows its impact on the environment? Who knows what the big company's going to do? There's still going to be problems with when it comes to privacy. There's going to be all types of legislations that's coming in. And that's why I think that when it comes to Gen AI right now, this is the golden era.
Wow,
And
that's some really bold predictions. I hadn't thought about like the legislation. Another one I'll add to that is what if it becomes a monopoly? Similar to the tech industries right now, where there's like 5 big companies, versus the thousands that used to exist in the beginning of I could see many possible futures as to why that could be the golden era in today.
yeah,
I'd not thought about actually. Like now
yeah.
you're saying them to me, it's pretty interesting.
I just think that now everyone will be different because obviously generation.
Regulations coming in this year too. I just realized.
What is sorry?
We're unregulated. So like,
Yeah,
a first AI regulation in Europe is coming in this year.
yeah.
So that could ruin everything and slow down progress and
And
stuff.
who knows, and this is why I think that enjoy it while you can. This is why I say this is the golden age. If you look at, for example, for
Good
me,
arguments.
my music is hip hop. I say the golden era of hip hop is the 90s. That's where like I love it. But I also know that some people say it wasn't the 90s because the 90s, that's when all the gangster rap came in. That's when it wasn't about a message. That's when it was all about money. That's when the two biggest rappers in the world at the time got killed 6 months within each other. So how was the 90s the golden era? But I still see that because that was the era that even I started listening. Like my favorite rapper is Big Daddy Kane, and like that was, and I went to New York in 1989. That's when I fell in love with hip hop.
Wow.
I still see it as the 90s as it. Video games. For me, the golden era was the Super Nintendo
Yeah.
and the Sega Mega Drive. That, not saying it was the best, but that was the one I enjoyed the most. Social media. I still think 2012 to 2009 to 2012. I think that was the golden era because
Golden era just
it wasn't dominated by algorithms. It wasn't dominated. It's actually quite a positive place to be,
yeah.
believe it or not, social. But that's me. And I think golden era is very much going to be like subjective. It's going to be something of an opinion.
Well, you've just highlighted a few things that I'd like to touch on because that's
Mm.
really fascinating the way that you describe it. And if I'm breaking down your golden era for social media, I'm thinking that was pretty early in social media.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's one of the things that carries through to all 3 examples that you gave is that before it became mainstream. And to go back to the music analogies, like I used to be really into drum and bass before it was pop music, before it's in the charts, when people used to go to underground raves and like it was subculture and and then when it became mainstream, it killed a lot of the interest from the original fans. And Gen AI is going to go through this explosion too, where your mum and dad and your granddad will know just as much about Gen AI as you will in like 20 years because it'll be in all their phones and all their devices and everything they talk to, the boomer stuff right now in Facebook will all be Gen AI enhanced. So
there's always
Bizarre.
going to be a golden era for everyone when it comes to this, and but I just feel that
I
with Gen
agree on the
AI,
early stages, though. I'm
yeah,
quite a big fan of things before it becomes
before,
mainstream too,
yeah,
as well.
and a lot of people are, I'm like
Yeah,
that with a lot of things. So whether it be music, whether it be
yeah.
tech, it's can I get it early before everyone else jumps on it, and usually what happens is once everyone else jumps on it, you're on to the next,
It's
the
not
next.
cool anymore.
It's cool anymore. And you see that with a lot of social media sites, from Friendster to MySpace
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Facebook to Twitter. Within that, YouTube was there, and then from Twitter, it kind of Instagram, and then Instagram to Pinterest, and Pinterest to TikTok. And like you see
What a
that,
jump
like
that was.
that, yeah, you see people go from this to that. And within that, again, if people listening, if I said to you, when was the golden era for social media for you? A lot of it is going to be when you got onto it and when you started liking it and when your
Mm.
friends started liking it. So
And how old you were when you experienced it? It's a big issue. You
yeah.
mentioned that with the Sega Mega Drive. If
Mm.
you introduce a Sega Mega Drive to a small kid right now, they're going to go, "What on earth's this thing?" Compared to my
Exactly.
VR headset. It's all about when you experience it and like what nostalgia you have in your head for it.
Mm.
And all of the above. Like the golden era is such a great name because it means nothing in definition. Like
Mm.
it means what is your favorite point of time with all of your experiences and backdrop and knowledge of that,
Mm.
thing. Because I'm imagining my dad was big into computers when computers first came out. And because he was of that age when, you built your own and you did all the nerdy stuff. And it was really for just a few select nerdy people in the world. And now everyone has a portable computer in their house.
Yeah.
It's such a rapid change.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. And I think that when it comes to this golden era, especially when it comes to what we're talking about with generative AI,
Mm,
you always look back and think, oh, I wish I was there when this happened, or I wish I
mm,
was there when that happened. Like when it comes to boxing, people would always say Muhammad Ali was the greatest boxer
yeah.
of all time, or it's definitely the greatest, the boxer that transcended the sport.
Mm,
But I was way too young. Like I didn't see him. I could watch
same.
YouTube videos and I could watch documentaries, but I
Yeah.
was not there. And I was like, oh, I wonder what that was like. Or when Bob Marley was there and or performing, or whoever it may be, the
Jimi
beat,
Hendrix for me.
Jimi Hendrix. Like you're always going to be thinking, oh, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
Right now, it's that time.
Mm,
Very rarely do we get to see like huge things where it's like that golden era.
mm,
Like football, for me, it was always like Pele, 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 and then
mm,
Maradona. And I was kind of saw the ending of Maradona. We were being fortunate enough to have Messi and Ronaldo, you know.
mm.
But again, you've got a generation now that might not have seen them, you
I
know.
love that analogy too because Maradona, in the other examples, is raw and early, and then
Mm,
Messi and Ronaldo are polished and they come at the next generation, the next
yeah,
wave of that
yeah,
ability. So, like many people's experience is, if you're an early adopter, you have to like the raw nature of unregulation and
mm,
completely new territory and gossips and rumors and whispers and
yeah,
it's not big and it's not mainstream and not many people know about it and you're going to be seen as nerdy and seen as all these you know there's downsides to being a golden era at every stage.
yeah.
And the opposite side is true. When you're only into it when it's mainstream and everyone knows about it already, how cool is it really? How useful is it? Like, is it going to crash soon and go through its hype cycles and all of that jazz? So
Exactly. And I'm telling you, in 5, 10 years' time, we're going to be thinking, oh man, I wish we could go back to 2024. I'm telling you, we're going to be like that when it comes to
before
Gen AI
regulation in AI may be the big
or everything. Yeah, even before the turn of the next decade, we're going to be like, oh, I
yeah.
wish we could go back to 2023, 2024, where things were so. It's like, oh, imagine going back to Facebook and you're doing a marketing campaign on Facebook and it's 2015 or 2016. It's like, a penny a click. I wish I could
Oh
go
yeah.
stage. And yeah, that's what I think it is now. So in a nutshell, again, this is just obviously like a belief. It's not
Yeah.
not saying this is true. This is just what we believe, and that is
Opinions.
2024 is going to be the golden age of generative AI.
Mm.
So if you're listening to this, hopefully you're using some of the platforms, be it video, images, text, whatever you're using to when it comes to Gen AI. Enjoy it,
Yeah.
get what you want out of it. Obviously,
Oh,
from a work point of
class.
view, make sure it's productive, but enjoy it because we don't believe that within a year, 18 months time, it's going to be, you're going to have the same freedom. And that
Mm.
freedom could be to do with time, money, regulations, whatever. We don't think it will be there. It will change. It will evolve.
Mm.
But as the rapper Cannabis once said, and I'm going to change this slightly to make it relevant, since technology became a lucrative profession, there's a misconception that a movement in any direction is progression. And
Ooh,
that's what I think is going to happen.
wow, that's deep.